So we always see the guys sitting at the back row, and it's so dark up there we can't even see what they're up to. Any guys want to tell us why you are here? Sir?
I would like to share my ideas.
You'd like to share your idea? Okay, cool. Good idea. Let's try to meet up after this session. Anybody else? Sir?
I was hoping to get some advice from you about entrepreneurship.
Well, you've come to the right place, my friend. Good luck with that. Anybody else?
So the process of how to actually get an idea up and running and make it into something that is sustainable and can give back to you as soon as you have.
Cool. Thank you very much. And it's very important to understand the processes. So, as I said, we'll get into it into more detail, but I would imagine that everybody here would like to be successful in their lives. Is that a fair comment? Anybody contrary to that? What are you guys doing to help you become successful in the future? What is it that you are doing today that will help you to become successful in the future? Anybody thought about that? Apart from your education? Any other things that you guys are doing? Sorry? Internship. Good, very good.
I think that everybody has some sort of criteria that they've set, like critical success factors, that they have to meet according to their situation to be successful. So everybody goes through their, tries to check all the boxes as they go along in their life.
Good. I wish that was true, but the fact of the matter is many of your colleagues here, I doubt it very much. I mean, believe it or not, I was also young, your age, many, many years ago, and I hadn't a clue what to do in life. In our generation, you had a variety of career choices so long as they were either an engineer or a doctor. There was no third option. Today's world, there are so many more options for you guys. But as we get more and more people coming in, I would like to ask you, in terms of success, what do you guys think success is? How does it translate? What does success mean to you, as in your generation? Yes? No? Maybe? Money? Career? Fast cars? Mobile phone? Business? Peace? Yoga? Music? That's a good one. What does success mean, ma'am, to you? Peace. Good one. Anything else? So success comes in different ways to different people. Success means different things. And it's important that we also try to understand what is it that we are chasing. What kind of success are we chasing? And during this conversation, we'll make a lot of recommendations and references to various books, websites, etc. For those of you who haven't, by the way, anybody read books here anymore? Does anybody know what a book is? Good. So the reason why I'm asking these questions is that, if you do know what success is, if you do ask questions, so those people who have asked questions already, those people who are sitting closer to the front, those people who are sitting to the right of the hall, the chances of success for you are much better than those people who are not asking questions. Those people who are sitting at the back and those people who are sitting on the left. Did you know that? You wish you guys had sat on the right side of the hall right now, right? So it's important that we all understand that success means different things to different people. There are people who make lots of money and considered to be successful. There are people in life who do not make money and are considered to be successful. Anybody know somebody who doesn't have money and is successful, considered to be successful? Sir? My favorite. Anybody else? So you can see how success in his vision or in his eyes was completely different to perhaps somebody like Malik Riaz, for example, who many others may consider to be successful, for other reasons, of course. So the fact of the matter is that each and every one of us has the opportunity to be successful. But most of us, we don't apply ourselves. We don't apply the rules to give us that success. And the reason for that is either we don't know what they are, or we just don't have the energy and the effort to put in and try to make ourselves successful. A lot of quotes I will share, many of them are from my father, God rest his soul. कहते थे कि जन्नत तो सारे जाना चाहते हैं, लेकिन मरने के लिए कोई तैयार नहीं है. And the fact of the matter is that each and every one of you would like to be successful. But success eludes 90% of people. 90% of people, they just drift through life and they're not successful because they do not follow the rules of success. Would anybody like to know what the rules of success are? Yes? No? Maybe? So if I can't hear you, I think you've gone back to sleep, I'm going to ask you to wake up and stand up and do that stuff again. So, does anybody want to be successful?
Yes.
A little bit better. Let's say it again. Who wants to be successful?
Me.
Good. Yeah. Everybody wants to go to heaven, right? So again, I would like to share with you a few stories, a few anecdotes. I've made some notes, and I would also encourage you guys to make some notes as well. Today's subject, of course, is entrepreneurship as a career choice. Most people, they have no idea what they want to do in life. So again, I work with at the National Incubation Center. We're honored and we're privileged to work with many young people, many people like yourself. And we have certain common elements that we see in all of these young people. So in Pakistan, as a general rule, and this is the majority of people, if you ask somebody between the age of 18 and 22, कि बेटा आप क्या कर रहे हो, क्या पढ़ रहे हो यानी कि. So people will tell us that they're doing their BCom or BS or IT or finance or accounting or marketing, etc. Yes? Sound familiar? How many people are doing something like that here? I think some of them have gone to sleep again. So, this is very, very important that each and every one of you knows what you are studying. How many of you know why you are studying? And I don't mean because mom and dad insisted on it. I meant, why have you chosen the subjects that you have chosen? How many people, and if you can kindly raise your right hand for this one, know exactly why you have chosen the subjects you are studying? And for the rest of you, I thank you for your honesty. It's a fact of Pakistan. Most people, and I'll share with you a couple of stories, when we ask them, why are you studying the subjects that you're studying? Bata to dete hain, lekin kyun? And the answer often comes to the effect of, Mama ne kaha tha, Papa ne kaha tha, Mamu ne kaha tha. एक शख्स ने मुझे ये कहा कि पड़ोसी जो है मेरे साथ वाले घर में वो जा रहा था तो मैंने कहा मोटरसाइकिल में मुझे भी लिफ्ट मिल जाएगी तो मैंने भी वो कोर्स ले लिया. मोटरसाइकिल वाले हैं कोई यहाँ पे? Thank you very much. Please, again, I appreciate your honesty. And please visit us at the National Incubation Center because we're looking for people like you. So you see that if you do not know what you want to do in life, then you have 100% success of getting exactly what you don't know what you want. In short, if you don't know what you want in life, then you'll continue to drift. And that's why many of our graduates, interestingly enough, on the day of their graduation, they think about what should we be doing for the rest of our lives. That's the first day it dawns on them that we're actually now no longer students. We are supposed to be members of society. We are grown-up adults and we are expected to contribute. And that's why somebody who's done a degree in IT ends up working in a HR department of a company. That's why somebody who has, for example, a degree in finance ends up working in a call center. And this is really, really important. You need to know what it is that is your future. And the best way to do that is to create your own future. And the best way to do that is to know exactly what you want in your future. And most people, you should realize, there's no harm in admitting that we don't know. What they teach you in school, university, are the subjects, but they don't teach you the other things that are going to be more important for you to understand. And it's not even important to have a good degree. Most of the successful entrepreneurs, and does anybody know an entrepreneur, by the way? Any names? Ma'am. Zuckerberg. Thank you very much. From Facebook, I assume. Anybody else? So थोड़ा सा ऊंचा बोलेंगे. Faisal Mushtaq. Good. Shahid Khan. Sir.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Anybody else? Ma'am. Steve Jobs. Anybody else? Anybody heard of a guy by the name of Jack Ma?
Yes.
I think I heard that from here somewhere.
Yeah.
So, what do all of these people except Faisal Mushtaq, what are the two things they don't have in common? Everybody else has in common except Faisal Mushtaq. Okay, they don't have a degree. I think that's the easy one. What's the other one? Pardon me, ma'am? Yeah, Faisal was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, right? Okay. It's cool, he's not listening, don't worry. And we're not going to tell him. So, the point was that all of them are non-Pakistanis, except Faisal, and all of them did not have a degree. So I have this theory, this is my own personal theory, so don't hold me to it, is that the more education you have, the less likely you will become a successful entrepreneur. I just want to say that again so it sinks in. The more education you have, the less likely you will become a successful entrepreneur. But it's too late for that because you guys already got onto your degree program, right? But don't worry, all is not lost.
There is a form outside you can fill today and just opt out.
So you can save your parents all the fees and you can decide to become an entrepreneur, right? On a serious note, it's very, very simple. You need to, everybody in this world, Dr. Shahid Qureshi Sahib, he's a board member at Ignite, he's the faculty head at IBA, Center for Entrepreneurship. वो कहते हैं कि everybody is a born entrepreneur. Everybody when they are born, they're an entrepreneur. It is society, culture, our parents, our peers, our friends who tell us otherwise. And interestingly enough, I was watching a documentary about children at the age of 15 months and 2 years. And they have the equivalent of a PhD scientist, researcher in terms of brain power. So a lot of these things that you will learn in life are conditioning us. So if you remember when you were younger, what would happen is very important. And this is why, as a culture, we need to embrace what we call our failures. And I want to touch upon this, this is very important, is that we are conditioned not to fail. Anybody failed here? Cool. I have to raise both hands here. I don't have a third hand because I failed so many times. Failure is actually a testament to the fact that you are trying. Those of you who have never failed have never tried. And those are the real losers in life. Because when you look back on your life, at the age of 70, 75 years old, you would have wished that you had tried it. It is the regrets in the failures of the things that we do not do, rather than those that we do. So in terms of understanding our failures, we should actually encourage and celebrate our failures. And I'll give you an example. A child, boy or girl, at the age of around 10 or 12 months, starts to walk. Typically, when they stand up for the first time, they fall down. Right? Then what happens? Louder. No. वो तो बाद में होता है. No. Very interesting. They look towards their parents. क्या हुआ? Because it's a new experience for them. And the parents, what do they say? बेवकूफ बच्चे, तुझे चलना नहीं आता? How many parents say that to their 10-month or 12-month-old child? बाद में तो बहुत डांट पड़ती है, उस वक्त तो कम से कम नहीं पड़ती है. What the parents do is they shabash, well done bache, shabash, well done. They encourage their child to fail again, to try to stand up and to try to do it again. And that is the element of trying. If we don't try, we don't fail. If we don't fail, we don't succeed. There is only one, if you don't remember anything about today's talk, one thing you should remember. There is only one prerequisite to success, and that is failure. If you do not fail, you may as well crawl into your grave and die. You will never be successful. Accept failure and celebrate failure and recognize your failures, because that is the only way that you are going to learn. Moving on to today's talk, entrepreneurship as a career choice. We make these decisions, again, it is my firm belief, having met many thousands of young people and older people as well, that everybody is created with something inside them. Allah Ta'ala jo hai, wo fazul mein koi cheez banata nahi hai. Lihaza, each and every one of you and those before you and those after you, they have been created as very special beings because the Lord God created you. And inside of each and every one of you is a purpose. And most of us, we drift through life without even knowing what our purpose is. And those of us who do find out what our purpose is, we work around that to develop a passion. And once we have a passion for what we call our purpose, we will try to persevere. We will develop the skills required to do that. So for example, अगर किसी ने क्रिकेट का मैच देखना है, या बसंत पे जाना है, या कोई मूवी देखनी है, या किसी डेट पे जाना है, तो they will find a way. Yes? और अगर उन्होंने एग्ज़ाम की तैयारी करनी है या नहीं करनी, as the case may be, तो बहाने हज़ार हैं. आज ये भी करना है, आज वो भी करना है, आज ये भी हो गया, आज वो भी हो गया. So in our lives, we have to take ownership. We cannot continuously blame the environment and the situation within us. So for example, people in Pakistan, let's take Pakistan as an example, people in our country, there are two types of people. There are those people who are successful, irrespective of how you define success. And there are those people who are failures, however you want to define that. Question is why? Anybody know? Guesses? Determine failure? Success is different things for different people, my friend. For those of us who want to make money, Malik Riaz would be a very good example of success. And those who want to have a social impact, Abdul Sattar Idi would be a great example of that, as with Mother Teresa. People in education have developed, won Nobel Prizes, for example. Malala Yousafzai, for example, would be considered to be successful by many. So success is a different thing. Don't remember, success doesn't have to mean the same thing to everybody. It can actually be a completely different thing. But the question I have is that why are some people successful in whatever they do and others are not successful in what they do? Action? So,
They're doing the wrong thing.
they're doing the wrong things. They're doing the wrong things, you say?
Yeah, but not what they're supposed to.
Okay. Sorry ma'am, can you speak up? They don't give up? Good, that's a good one. Sir? Sorry, thoda ucha bolenge. Okay, they do hard things. Okay. Okay, cool. They don't plan? So again, reference to a book is called Awaken the Giant Within, Anthony Robbins. Anybody read that book? No? And then you expect to be successful. Huh? Reminds me of people wanting to go to heaven but not willing to die. मेहनत के बगैर, वो कहते हैं ना, success is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. So you have to work hard. And if you're not willing to work hard, again, you may as well crawl up and die. You're not going to be successful. Success means working at least 14 to 16 hours a day. 7 days a week. Jack Ma, in his interview, the gentleman, one of the most successful entrepreneurs of our time, multi-billionaire, he couldn't get a job at KFC, by the way. He was rejected from getting a job at KFC. Today he's being invited to Harvard and Cambridge and Oxford to give talks to young people like yourself. So you can see how people at the time may be considered to be unsuccessful, right? If you can't get a job at KFC, you must be pretty lousy. But the same guy turns out to become one of the most successful entrepreneurs of our time. Multi-billion dollars. So you see how success can be in different things. I think there's a prominent example of that. The reason why people fail as opposed to those who succeed is very simple. It's all in the mind. If you believe it, you can do it. And that's why, if you look at the successful entrepreneurs, and we talked about some of them, they were not successful in the early days. If you look at Walt Disney, for example, he was rejected from a newspaper saying he wasn't creative enough. Elvis Presley के बारे में कहते थे उसकी आवाज़ ठीक नहीं है, and he went on to become the king of rock and roll. So those experts of the time, those so-called experts, they will reject what they don't see as success. And this is an important part, is it's all in your mind. If you believe you will be successful, and you put a lot of effort behind it, you will be successful. There's no two ways about it. And if you believe कि माशरा जो है उसकी वजह से मैं नाकाम हूँ, नवाज शरीफ की वजह से या इमरान खान की वजह से या पाकिस्तान का जो माहौल है या पुलिस सिस्टम है या कोर्ट सिस्टम है, or you blame your parents and your background and your education and your teachers, then you will always be a failure because you are not taking ownership of your own failures. Rather, you're looking at other people. It's very important to take that ownership. I would like to share with you a story of what makes successful entrepreneurs. Apart from the perspiration and the hard work, it is a way of doing certain things, a way of doing certain businesses. For example, how many people here on Facebook? तो बाकी क्या कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे? How many people are not on Facebook? Cool. How many people are looking to get a job or start their business over the next 2 or 3 years? And how do you think that's going to happen? How many people here use LinkedIn? Oh wow, I'm impressed. Apart from the first row. How many people knew that they were going to come to today's talk? Were the rest of you sleeping? How many of you knew who were the speakers that were going to come today, prior to today? How many of you did some background research on them? And yet you expect to be successful in life. And yet you expect to get the dream job that you want. Preparation. One word that you need to remember. No matter what you do in life, if you prepare for it, you will be successful. It's all in the preparation. In 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, another one of our favorite books. Anybody read that? Stephen Covey? Good. I would recommend that you guys who haven't read it, read the book. In that, he refers to a story about a woodcutter and how they have 6 hours, for example, to cut the tree. And one of them starts to cut the tree down with a blade which is basically not very sharp. And the second person, he takes to sharpen the saw. And he takes half an hour to sharpen the saw and cuts the tree within the next 2 hours. Whereas the previous one is continuously cutting it for 6 hours and not getting very well. You have to prepare yourself. And these are things which are easily doable. Opening an account, researching, costs you no money. How many people have a smartphone here? Good? Internet access, I hope. So there's no reason why you couldn't do this. Anybody doing it right now? No? That was a hint, by the way. So these are important things that you need to be able to do. In terms of job choices, entrepreneurs are very, very tough in terms of hard work. Even in Silicon Valley, which is considered to be one of the best, most of the entrepreneurs fail. But through that failure, there is learning, there is an opportunity. You can decide to get a 9-to-5 job, and you can work in an organization, and you can work there for many, many years. And you may decide that that is the right thing for you. Most people are able to get jobs and stay in those jobs. But for those of you who are entrepreneurs, I would encourage you to come and visit us at the National Incubation Center, to like us on Facebook. Apart from the fact that we get more likes, you'll also be able to get more access to the information and the talks that are happening there. It's an important element. I think you guys should consider that. I think also in terms of a few advices that I would have for you is read books. These are some of the books that we mentioned today. TED Talks, YouTube videos. Invest in yourself. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, then why would any employer want to invest in you? Granted, you may have rich mom and dads who probably would invest in you because they don't have any other choice. But other than that, why would an employer invest in you if you're not willing to invest in yourself? And all I ask you is invest in yourself half an hour a day. If you can do an hour a day, that would be great. And again, the thing that you have in common with the most successful people is that you both have 24 hours in a day. And yet somehow, some people manage to do so much more in those 24 hours, and others, they do so much less. Nobody has a difference. All have the same amount of time. So invest in yourself. Read books. Listen to TEDx Talks, YouTubes. And the last thing I would say is that find a mentor. Anybody have a mentor here? My friend, you're ticking all the boxes here today. So it's very, very important. Why wouldn't you have a mentor, by the way? Does anybody know what a mentor is? Sir? Who can guide you? Okay. Okay. Cool. Anybody else have a mentor? So what do you do with the mentor, by the way? So in life, I would encourage you to have, by the way, we don't need to have just one mentor. Through life, you will have many different type of mentors, going through different stages in your life. They may be of specific backgrounds, experiences. They may be domain experts in particular areas. So for example, if I need to have marketing, let's say help or support, I would find somebody in the marketing domain who can help me and mentor me and guide me and support me. Similarly, maybe I'm having some financial issues, I can ask somebody who has a financial background to help me and support me. So if you want to be successful, find a mentor and try to copy what they're doing. But I caution you as well that don't find just any old mentor. If somebody has a very negative personality and tells you you can't do it, run away as fast as you can, as far as you can. Try to avoid those type of people. Look for people who have been successful in whatever they've done themselves, and try to help and try to get them to do something. Now, a lot of mentors are very busy people, so you have to try to sell them something and try to sell them that what you can do for them. This is also a very important element. So if there's something that you can do for them to help improve the quality of their lives, maybe it's some research, maybe it's some filing, maybe it's making their coffee, whatever it is, you can actually get them to give you mentorship in return for that. And at the end, I just wanted to close by saying again, thank you very much to all of the faculty, all of you guys. And remember, we only fail when we stop trying. Thank you very much.
with your life story.
Thank you, Parvez. Thank you. Parvez has more or less said everything, so there's not much for me to say. What I wanted to expand on is why would you want to be an entrepreneur, and why here in Pakistan? And I think most of you will know what that means. It is the fact that Pakistan today is rising. It's got a great demographic. You are part of that. 65% of the population is below 25 years of age. You have 225 million last count and growing population. So whatever you do in terms of creating a business, a service, a product, it's got a huge audience. It's got a huge potential population who will adopt that. You don't even have to worry about going out to the rest of the world yet, because there's so much happening right here, right now. The other thing about Pakistan today is that it is growing. I mean, I've just spent the last 9 years in the UK, where the economy is, if it grows at 0.5% per annum, it's a very exciting thing to talk about in the newspapers the next day. We've been growing at something like 5.5%, 5.8% over the last several years. And what that means is that everything is on the up. We're also a population which is connected. 155 million of the 200 some million people are connected on a phone. 60 million of those people are connected through smartphones. Most of you here are. And what that means is that whatever it is that you are going out there in terms of a technology service, a product, e-commerce, whatever it is that you propose to put together and take to the market, it is out there, it's happening, it's all connected. So I think that's another very important reason to look at entrepreneurship and say, why am I not doing it? Because jitni bhi services hain, for example, the Googles and the Amazons of this world, they don't necessarily have Pakistan on their radar screen. And that means great opportunity for people right here. Robotics, IoT, all of it is happening. Next year, the government will start looking at 5G, 3 and 4G already in existence at this point in time. So I'm taking that route particularly because that's the background I've come from. I see a great amount of opportunity, great amount of possibilities that exist just in that whole area where one can go out and look at a service, a product that you can take out to the marketplace. I will reiterate a lot of the things that Parvez said, but again, just drawing on my own experiences, when I first came back to this country, I was away between the ages of 15 to the age of about 25. I was in the UK, education and all. And again, by the way, jo Mia Bane kaha tha, I was supposed to be an engineer. I didn't have the faintest idea what that meant. I failed my physics, my chemistry, and my maths at A-levels. And it took me 3 months before my dad would speak to me again. And then he said, "Ab aapne kya karna hai?" And I said, "Well, sir, I proposed a couple of things like English literature, etc. Hotan padi, I ended up being a chartered accountant. I've described it always as a reluctant accountant. But what I'm saying is that despite all of that happening, one of the things I realized when I came back to this country was everybody around me was smarter, harder working, and brighter than I was. And I thought, I must be a hot shot. So the lesson I learned was that if everybody is working 14, 15, 16 hours a day, then I had to work 18 to 20 hours a day, just to keep pace with everybody and try and get ahead. And that is a fundamental clue to how you can be successful. You've got to outstrip everybody else. You always have to make sure that they're all in the rearview mirror while you're looking ahead and moving faster, harder, and stronger. It's why would you want to be an entrepreneur? Kya isme takleef hai? Why not just have a degree, take a job, and be happy, as it were? Give you a few things that I think are important for why you should be an entrepreneur. And It's, one of them is the freedom to pursue your own vision. You really almost never are able to do that if you are locked into a job. Then you are basically doing what the boss is telling you. Whereas if you create your own vision, then you are free to pursue it in that respect. You have flexibility and control over your hours. Having said that, as I said, you will work 18, 20 hours a day if you need to succeed. And like Parvez said, everybody's got 24 hours, why waste it sleeping? There's so many more important things one can do. The opportunity to learn and gain by yourself. And again, aajkal ke zamane mein, as opposed to 30, 40 years ago when we were doing this, everything is at your fingertips. You don't even need to go to a library. You don't need to go buy a book. It's out there. It's in your hands, that little device that everybody looks at. It's got everything on it. So your ability to gain knowledge, gain exposure, get to know new things is instantaneous almost. And so stop wasting it on Instagram and Facebook and actually go do something which is productive. One of the things that entrepreneurs generally, and obviously you fail many times before you become a successful entrepreneur, is that in the end, when you look back in 30 years from now, you'll probably end up being even financially more successful than you were if you were in a job. Not necessarily the ultimate definition of success. There are others, and I will share some of what I feel now, where I am in my life and in my career. But also, I think, as Parvez has already said, and I will say again, it is all about focus. It's all about resilience, being able to get up every time somebody knocks you down or you fall over, you make a mistake. And it's about, just looking in and saying, am I really wanting to do this? The most important thing about success is you have to want it. It's not going to come to you. Nobody will knock the door. Nobody will ring a bell and say, "Ye aapko aaj success deliver hone lagi hai." It's something that you have to want more than anything else. In my case, unlike a lot of things that have been said, I knew at the age of 20 that I would one day lead a successful company as a CEO. And it took me 25 more years to get there, but I can talk to you now and say that I always wanted to do it, and shukr alhamdulillah, it happened, and other things happened as well, but always because you need to maintain a focus and a resilience to get there. Some lessons I've always said, you need to look at when you are striving to whether being an entrepreneur, or even if you just choose at the end of this lecture, hey, I just want to stick to my job, this is all sounds a bit too dangerous, a bit too risky for me, fine, that's not a problem. But I think for success, it has to be that you always move quickly. When you need to make a decision, make a decision. Any bad decision, as they say, is better than no decision at any time. So as you go through life, as you take every day going forward, remember that that is something that is crucial. Because the more time you waste not making a decision, somebody else is going to, as they say, come and eat your cake. That's very, very important. I'll go back to something that Parvez said as well, networking. The reason that Parvez and I are doing what we are doing today is that we started in the same company. We met at the same company 27 years ago. It was a company called Instaphone. We both left it and did other things instead. But the fact of the matter is we've always networked, we've always stayed close, we've always maintained open lines of communication. And when this opportunity came along to set up something like Teamup and then to go into the National Incubation Center, it was because we have known each other for a long time and we feel comfortable with the different qualities and skill sets that we bring together. And the more you network, the more you will find that you have people who think like you or supplement the thinking that you do. I want to clarify the first sentence there. I think if everybody you meet thinks exactly like you, you are screwed. There's nowhere to go from there. You have to be in touch with people who complement what you say or disagree with what you say or have a slightly different way of thinking than you, But people who, in the end, if the thinking together takes you to a better place, that is the crucial part of all of this networking. Don't wait to fix the problems in your life, whether it is, being able to not exercise at the right time, not being able to get up at the right time. Fix it today, because everything that you leave till tomorrow is going to be a problem. Because as I said, somebody else will do it sooner than you do. That's how life moves. Okay. Somebody asked me the other day, "Ji, aap perfectionist hai ya you just make things happen as they go along?" And my answer to that was that I am a perfectionist to the extent that my kids call and say, "Baba, you have an OCD problem." I probably do, but I think what it means is that everything that I've tried to do, you've got to do it to the best possible level of quality, and that's what will make you successful in life. Whatever you choose to do, you've got to be able to believe in it. You've got to believe that this is the thing that I am going to do, and I'm going to do it right. Optimism is absolutely essential, because if you are not optimistic about what you're going to do, if you come at it from a negative place or a dark place, it's not going to happen anyway. So again, you have to, if that's what you are struggling with right now, fix it now. That's very, very critical. Whatever you build, as an entrepreneur, as a person in life, think about it this way. What are you going to tell? What is the story that you will tell your grandchildren in 35, 40 years from now, inshallah, when you look back? What is the story that you will tell them? I would want that to be an inspiring story, something which is going to inspire them to do better in life as well. So think about that every day that you do what you do. Another thing that I've always practiced, and I would urge every one of you young people to do, never be afraid to step into the void. Never be afraid to step into the unknown. Because if you don't, then you'll never know what's on the other side. And that's risk, basically, that I'm talking about. So you've got to be able to take those risks and go forward, because the only belief you need is the belief in yourself that you will be able to handle whatever the problem is out there. That's important, I think. And as I said earlier, you've got to really, really want it enough. To me, success today, as I stand here talking to you, is, yes, it's about possibly money, it's about reaching, certain titles in your life, certain positions, and so on and so forth. But if I look back on success today, I define it as being able to navigate yourself through life with all its ups and downs and all its the wrong roads and the depressions and so on that will come your way. If you are able to have hung on to the core values of honesty, integrity, hard work, and doing good for good people, that to me is success in the end. I wish you a lot of luck, and I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions, but since आप लोगों की classes वगैरह में, I'll just take few. So yeah, raise your hands for questions, please.
So, one question about the entrepreneurship. When we talk of the when we talk of the entrepreneurship, so there are three things. One is that we always say the business idea has to be innovative, and then at the same time we say that as far as profit margins are concerned, these have to be relatively high, and at the same time we do consider that there is a risk which is also attached to the entrepreneurship. In Pakistan environment, I mean, most of the time, the third factor dimension, that is much more pressing. And how we can take care of this, in our particular Pakistan business environment.
inherently, we talk about risk, and I personally believe that there's a greater risk of not even trying. So you'll end up perhaps in a 9-to-5 job and for the rest of your life wishing that you had that opportunity
to do something. I think there's a misconception about what they teach you about entrepreneurship, and most of the time it's actually the opposite of what they teach you. So going back to becoming an innovative idea, for example, to a certain extent, yes, that would be true. But we've seen that there are other ideas which are not necessarily innovative. They're just extensions of something that has already been done. So for example, if you look at the iPhone, which is a classic example of this, what did it have? It had a camera. Nokia had a phone with a camera 5 years earlier. It was a device that people were able to talk about. It was just an extension by using a different interface, by creating a different model around a product or a service that was already there. Just to give you an example, one of the growing potentials of the future, for those of you who are interested, is digital mobile money, financial services. The ability to pay using your mobile phone for anything that you wish to pay for, whether it's buying an ice cream or buying an airplane ticket or buying a pizza or paying for your petrol. So this is again an extension of what an existing business already has, where you have mobile phone penetration on the one hand, which is very significant, and a very limited number of people who are using banking, for example. So there is an opportunity to move the bank from a traditional banking model into a digital environment. So for example, people of our age, Zouhair and myself, we still go to the bank and we feel very comfortable talking to people at the bank. But the generation which is the people sitting in this room, why on earth would they want to get in a car and drive to the bank and try to find parking space and then talk to somebody who is not even interested to talk to them? They would rather do it on an app on their mobile phone without having to leave the comfort of their house. So you see how there is a little bit of innovation, but it's based on existing traditional models. As far as the risk is concerned, and Kareem is an example of this, by the way. Kareem was a model that was already successful outside of Pakistan, and they brought it into Pakistan and became successful. Daraz, again, another example of this, a successful model outside of Pakistan, which has been brought into Pakistan. And there are many, many examples of this as well. As far as the risk is concerned, I think this is also an anomaly. Most people think that entrepreneurs are risk takers. And let me assure you, this is a fallacy. This is not true at all. Many of the people who are entrepreneurs, they are actually very, let's say, well-balanced human beings who make very conscious decisions based on facts and figures. So they don't take risks. And interestingly enough, if you look at the banks, for example, बैंक जब आपको पैसे देता है मिसाल के तौर पे 1 लाख रुपया तो वो आपसे 2 लाख रुपए की सिक्योरिटी लेंगे. So what's the risk in that? So the fact of the matter is, it's what we call an affordable loss in our terminology, and I would encourage you to look up and Google a lady, Indian American origin. Her name is Saraswati, one of my mentors and one of the people who I really look up to in terms of entrepreneurship. She has interviewed many thousands of entrepreneurs over the last 20 years. She's a researcher, and her research has concluded that actually entrepreneurs are not risk takers. It's something known as an affordable loss. So let me give you an example. Zouhair and myself, we decided to do a business, and we thought, what is the loss or what is the risk of this? And most of the time we find that that risk or that loss is something that we can afford to lose. i.e. either our time or a small amount of investment, जो हमें अपने घर से बाहर नहीं निकाल देगी. ज़रूरी नहीं है कि आप 100% आपकी जो assets हैं उसी के साथ आप risk में, आप 5% के साथ भी ले सकते हैं, और वो risk अगर खुदा ना खास्ता वो सारा डूब भी जाता है तो फिर भी आप सड़क पे नहीं आएंगे. So this is an important element that you should look at even in the Pakistani context. I think there is huge opportunities. If you look at what is happening in Pakistan and our part of the world relative to Europe, we are growing at a much faster rate. The majority of millionaires and billionaires that are now being created are coming out of China, out of India. On our borders we have Iran, I include Bangladesh, We have half the world's population just sitting on our borders. They have to eat. They have to use mobile phones. They have to wear shoes and socks. They have to wear perfumes and aftershaves, and some of them probably lipstick as well. So this is a great opportunity for us to be here in this region at this time. So I hope that perhaps may be reflective of your question. Thank you.
Any more questions?
I have a sort of a very small sort of a question. What's the difference between a businessman and an entrepreneur? Are they the same things?
I give the tough questions to him.
It's an easy question. I mean, it should have an easy answer.
It's a good question, I think. Look, businessmen, yes, traditionally you went into, typically into production, into textiles or steel or dukan, you set up something. Perhaps there wasn't enough innovation behind it. In today's world, when we talk about an entrepreneur, we talk necessarily about innovation being part of it. But apart from that, to be honest, in the end, you're building a business, yes. So you could call them businessmen, but I think the reason you call them entrepreneurs is because they're taking a risk on something which is new. Inevitably, normally, it is an innovation, it is something set apart from what has been done in the previous, as Parvez said. Banking has always been there, but to make it go into electronic banking, into fintech, into mobile services is innovative. So it's going and taking an existing model, disrupting it and taking it to a new level. So I think that's probably the difference in my mind at least.
Thank you.
Yeah. This gentleman right at the back. Do you still have a question?
A little bit loud. Yeah.
First step in your entrepreneurship training. Wanting to ask the question.
Sorry, you talked about finding your passion and do all those wonderful things. But the thing is, a lot of motivational speakers, they say you need to stick to your passion, you need to have integrity and be honest in everything. But they don't exactly tell us how to do that. Okay, find your passion. Okay, how do I do that? When you say be honest, and when you look at all these giants in the business industry and big entrepreneurs, they didn't exactly get there by being super honest or being super ethical. Look at Malik Riaz, he didn't exactly become this giant by turning into a Fusatarithi or something. He made money through, means that are not so ethical. So how do we balance, and the first question is, how do you go about finding something that you're so passionate about that you stick to it? And please keep in mind you're talking about a generation that's born with ADD.
So two questions here. How do you find your passion, and then how do you stay honest? Am I right?
Yeah, exactly.
So again, passion is something that will come to you as you explore life. If you're going to sit around in the classroom and do very little, you probably will not find a passion. And I think when Parvez said earlier, you've got to go out there and spend time looking at what's happening in the world. Now, it could be that your passion turns out to be saving marine life, something exotic like that. Or it could be inventing the next mobile app, or whatever else or helping the poor in a school somewhere. The more you research something, the more you will get interested into it. And you will know, if you read all of this stuff, and I'm just giving you 2 or 3 examples, but if you read 10 other things, sooner or later something is going to catch your eye and say, okay, this is what I really want to do. And then you've got to be able to dive into that and make sure that you know everything that is to be possibly aware, the available knowledge about that completely. And that probably will stir the passion inside you. If it still doesn't, hey, go to a job. There doesn't have to be a passion. Now, staying honest. Again, life will throw a lot of curveballs at you. Okay? And then, yes, you took one example. maybe not the best example of somebody who built a business through pure honesty, but you will find people in the world who will stick to principles. Again, honesty is again a wide word, and what I'm trying to say and what I said earlier is about being able to stick to basic principles. It's about not going out and hurting someone else for the sake of getting somewhere. It is possible to do. I look back on my life, I don't feel the guilt कि मैंने किसी का हक मारा या किसी के साथ ज़्यादती की. As long as you are prepared to work very hard, you will find ways around it. And yes, the rest of life isn't honest. And that's the reality of it. Whether here in Pakistan or anywhere else, by the way. And because we live here, हम कहते हैं पाकिस्तान में तो सब गलत है, हर चीज़ ऐसे होती है, but not necessarily. It is possible to find ways around it. One thing I didn't mention in the various qualities that you need out of life, but as an entrepreneur also, is patience. And I know that when you're young, it's a word that doesn't come to mind very quickly. But as you go through life, you learn that patience above all takes care of everything else. So you will find that way around in terms of honesty, as long as you're willing to put your mind to it, not let go of your passion, and be patient about it.
Yeah, I think, this is not heaven, this is not a perfect world. And many good people have done bad things in their life, I'm sure. In history, is littered with these examples. But at the same time, maybe a few bad people have done a few good things as well. So this is the reality of this world. I think we should not necessarily delve too much on the negativity of it, but perhaps look and focus on the positive side of whatever these gentlemen that we mentioned, whether they're Abdul Sattar Idi or Malik Riaz, for example, and try to learn from those good deeds that they've done. I really admire you for coming all the way down and sitting on the steps, so I'd like to ask you, what is your name, young man? Furqan. Thanks very much, Furqan. I'm a big fan of yours already. The second thing is that you will find your passion at this address. It's plot number 24, H91, Islamabad. I would suggest you visit there, and we will help you find your passion, that I can assure you.
Last question.
So I already have a question. I just want you guys to put a light on this. So I think being successful is just not being like a billionaire or being wealthy. So how do you put a light on if you are looking back on your life down the line at the age of 50, 60, and like how content you are with your life, and what impact have you made on other people's life? Because recently, in these last few weeks, I would say, I've been reading this, it's when you are being successful basically is just not making, a life for yourself. It's, like the impact you make on the other people's life, on the people around you. So how do you put a light on that? Like, what's your opinion about it?
I think, again, great
Question. In terms of what is success and what is not success, again, this is really, really important. And it's not about money. One of my, again, fans, I'm a big fan of Mother Teresa. And what she actually did was, she begged for food. She left a very cushy family environment to go to India. And where she was trying to help people, she found herself in a situation where she had to personally beg for food, not only for herself, but for the people that she wanted to support. So again, when you're begging, doesn't mean you have a lot of money, but yet you are successful. And Abdul Sattar Idi, of course, is a classic example of this, trying to do good for other people. And I believe that in 100 years from now, probably we will have, on Pakistan 100 rupee coin or 1,000 rupee coin, a picture of Abdul Sattar Idi, as opposed to having a picture of Malik Riaz. So these are the kind of legacies that people will definitely leave behind. I think, at least in my own experience, I can say that we should not have any regrets. God has been very kind, kinder than we deserve. I think that whichever yardstick of success you would like to measure against, God has been kind. So whether you want to put that against a dollar value, whether you want to put that against a health value, whether you want to put that against a social value, family value, etc., etc. So I think, in short, I think we should be content with what we have as well. And that's something that I think would probably give us more happiness than anything else in the world. I think, these are the kind of things that we look around, we don't have answers to all the questions. We try to create these environments, whether it's black or white. But between black and white, there's a lot of gray area. And I think that that's an area where we also find ourselves to be in most of the time. And lastly, I want to take offense to the fact that 50 years old is not very old.
I just want to add to that. I'm 60, by the way, so yeah.
That's all, huh?
Old, decrepit. If I look back to make it more personal to the question that you asked, to me right now success is looking back and having had the opportunity to raise two, mashallah, very wonderful, successful children. They are 27 and 23, mashallah, and they're now doing their own thing. So to me that is my success, my wife's success. Khala, by the way, actually seems to know them. Small world. Success again is about, as you said, making impact on other people. I described the other points of success earlier about integrity and honesty and so on. But success also, how do you make an impact on other people? Well, actually, that's what Parvez and I decided to do 3 years ago, is to say whatever we could gain out of life, Allah has been kind to us. We, gained a lot of experiences along the way, and the whole point of Teamup and the National Incubation Center is exactly that: is to be able to try and give back and share some of that knowledge, some of that experience, and hopefully make an impact on other people's lives as they grow up, and maybe be able to infect them with some of the passions that we've had over the years, and infect them with some of maybe the work ethic and the way you do things. And that's exactly what we're trying to do right now.
Thank you so much. I will invite our dean to present token of appreciation to Mr. Parvez and then Mrs.